Now we come to the group of 11 verses, Sankicha, 597. Is there any profit for you in the forest in the rainy season, like Ujuhana, dear child? Viramba is delightful for you, for seclusion is for meditators. 598. Just as the Viramba wind blows away clouds in the rainy season, so are my conceptions connected with seclusion scattered abroad. 599. The black bird, inhabiting a home in a burial ground, causes mindfulness bent on absence of desire for the body to arise in me. Because this crow eats the corpses. 600. Whom others do not protect and who does not protect others, truly that monk lies happily, having no longing for sensual pleasures. 601. With clear water and wide cracks, haunted by monkeys and deer, covered with oozing moss, those rocks delight me. 602. I have dwelt in woods, caves and grottos, in solitary lodgings, in a place frequented by beasts of prey. 603. May these creatures be killed, may they be slaughtered, may they come to harm. I have not been aware of having any ignoble, hate-ridden intentions. 604. The teacher has been waited on by me. The Buddha's teaching has been done. The heavy load has been put down. That which leads to renewed existence has been rooted out. 605. I have attained that goal for which I went forth from the home to the homeless state, the annihilation of all fetters. 606. I do not long for death, I do not long for life, but I await my time, as a servant his wages. 607. I do not long for death, I do not long for life, but I await my time, attentive and mindful. Now we come to the groups of 12 verses. Silavat, 608. Here in this world, one should train oneself carefully in virtue only. For virtue, when cultivated, brings all success near at hand. 609. A prudent man should protect virtue, desiring the three happinesses, praise, the gaining of wealth, and rejoicing in heaven after death. 610. For the virtuous man acquires many friends by his self-restraint, but the unvirtuous man, practicing evil, is estranged from his friends. 611. The unvirtuous man gains ill repute and ill fame. The virtuous man always gains reputation, fame and praise. 612. Virtue is the beginning and support and foremost cause of all good things. Therefore one should make one's virtue pure. 613. Virtue is also the control, restraint and delighting of the mind and the thought of all Buddhas. Therefore one should make one's virtue pure. 614. Virtue is an incomparable power. Virtue is the supreme weapon. Virtue is the best adornment. Virtue is a wonderful coat of mail. Armor. 615. Virtue is a very mighty bridge. Virtue is an unsurpassed perfume. Virtue is the best ointment, whereby one scents an odor in all directions. 616. Virtue is the foremost provision. Virtue is the supreme food for the journey. Virtue is the best vehicle, whereby one goes in all directions. 617. A fool obtains blame in this world, and after death is unhappy in hell. He is unhappy everywhere, not being concentrated upon virtue. 618. A wise man obtains fame in this world, and after death is happy in heaven. He is happy everywhere, being well concentrated upon virtue. 619. Virtue indeed is foremost here, but the wise man is supreme, conquering among men and devas because of his virtue and wisdom. Sunita, 620. I was born in a humble family, poor, having little food. My work was lowly. I was a disposer of withered flowers. 621. Despised by men, disregarded and reviled, making my mind humble, I paid homage to many people. In India, I have this caste system, so this Sunita comes from a very low caste. 622. Then I saw the Enlightened One, revered by the Sangha of monks, the great hero, entering the supreme city of the Magadhas. 623. Throwing down my carrying pole, I approached to pay homage to him. Out of sympathy for me, the best of men stood still. 624. Having paid homage to the teacher's feet, standing on one side, I then asked the best of all creatures for admission into the Sangha. 625. Then the merciful teacher, sympathetic to the whole world, said to me, "Come, monk." That was my ordination. 626. Dwelling alone in the forest, not relaxing, I myself performed the teacher's bidding, just as the conqueror had exhorted me. 627. For the first watch of the night, I recollected my previous births. For the middle watch of the night, I purified my Deva eye. In the last watch of the night, I tore asunder the mass of darkness. 628. Then at the end of the night, towards sunrise, Indra and Brahma came and revered me with cupped hands. This is Sakadevaraja and Mahabrahma. 629. Homage to you, thoroughbred of men. Homage to you, best of men. To you whose asavas are annihilated, you are worthy of a gift, sir. 630. Then seeing me revered by the assembly of Devas, giving a smile, the teacher said this. 631. By austerity, by living the holy life, by self-restraint and self-taming, by this one is a Brahmana. This is the supreme state of being a Brahmana. I come to the group of 13 verses. Sona Kolivisa. Sona Kolivisa comes from a very rich family, and he was very delicate. In the Vinaya books, we have this description about him. He was so delicate that it seems hair grew on the soles of his feet. Even the king heard about it, wanted to see. And after he renounced, he put so much effort in striving that at night he won't sleep. He'll walk, keep walking. And because he comes from a very rich family, his feet were so delicate, then he walked so much that they cracked, and the blood was on the walking path, so much blood. So although he used so much effort, he did not attain enlightenment. So he thought of disrobing after some time. And Buddha came to him and told him the simile of the guitar string. If you pull the guitar string, if you tighten the guitar string too tight, when you play, the sound doesn't go very far. And when it's too loose, you play it, also the sound doesn't go far. So it must be just right, just medium. So he got the message. So he didn't use too much effort and didn't relax too much and attain enlightenment. 632. He who was exalted in the kingdom as the attendant of the king of Anga, today is exalted in things sublime. So now has reached the far shore of pain. 633. One should cut off 5, one should abandon 5, one should especially develop 5. A monk who has gone beyond the 5 attachments is called a flood crosser. This one we came across. Cut off 5 lower fetters, abandon 5 higher fetters, develop the 5 faculties. 634. The virtue, concentration and wisdom of a monk who is frivolous, indolent, with his hopes fixed on external things, does not attain fulfillment. 635. For what is to be done is neglected, but what is not to be done is done. Their asavas increase as they are frivolous and indolent. 636. But those who constantly undertake mindfulness concerning the body do not practice what is not to be done, continuously doing what is to be done. The asavas of the mindful and attentive come to an end. 637. Go on the straight way which has been pointed out. Do not turn back. One should urge on the self of one's own accord. one should attain to quenching. 638. When my energy was overtaxed, the teacher, unsurpassed in the world, one with vision, propounding the guitar string simile, taught me the Dhamma. 639. Hearing his bidding, I remained delighting in his teaching. I practiced equanimity for the attainment of the supreme goal. The three knowledges have been obtained. The Buddha's teaching has been done. 640. Of one who is intent upon going forth, and upon mental seclusion, who is intent on non-harming, and upon the annihilation of grasping. 641. Is intent upon the annihilation of craving, and non-confusion of the mind. Having seen the uprising of the sense bases, the mind is wholly released. 642. For the monk who is wholly released, and whose mind is calm, there is nothing to add to what has been done. Nothing remains to be done. 643. Just as a solid mass of rock is not moved by the wind, so sights, tastes, sounds, smells, and all things to touch. 644. Mental objects, pleasant and unpleasant, do not cause a venerable one's mind, which is steadfast and unfettered, to tremble, and he sees its passing away. Now we come to groups of 14 verses. Revata. 645. You find as the verses go longer, it's more interesting because then we get the whole picture. When I went forth from the home to the homeless state, I was not aware of having any ignoble, hate-ridden intentions. 646. May these creatures be killed, may they be slaughtered, may they come to harm. I have not been aware of having any intention in this long period of time. 647. But I have been aware of love, infinite and well developed, practiced in due order, as taught by the Buddha. 648. I am a friend to all, comrade to all, sympathetic to all beings, and I develop a mind full of love, metta, always delighting in non-harming. 649. I gladden a mind which is immovable, unshakable. I develop the holy state, not cultivated by evil men. 650. Having attained to non-reasoning, the disciple of the fully enlightened one is straightway possessed of noble silence. This non-reasoning or non-thinking refers to the second jhana. This state of the second jhana, where the thoughts cannot rise up, is called the state of the Aryan silence, where the mind stops chatting. 651. Just as a rocky mountain is unmoving, well-founded, so a monk, like a mountain, does not tremble after the annihilation of delusion. 652. To a man who is without sin, always seeking purity, a hair's tip measure of evil seems as if the size of a cloud. When a person is very pure, even a little wrongdoing is like something very big to him because he's very sensitive. 653. As a frontier city is guarded inside and out, so you should guard yourselves. Let not the opportunity pass you by. 654. I do not long for death, I do not long for life, but I await my time as a servant his wages. 655. I do not long for death, I do not long for life, but I await my time, attentive and mindful. 656. The teacher has been waited on by me. The Buddha's teaching has been done. The heavy load has been put down. That which leads to renewed existence has been rooted out. 657. I have attained that goal for which I went forth from the home to the homeless state, the annihilation of all fetters. 658. Strive with vigilance, this is my advice. Come now, I shall be quenched. I am completely released in every respect. Now we come to Khuddaka, 659. Just as a noble thoroughbred, yoked to a load, enduring a load, oppressed by the excessive burden, does not try to get rid of his yoke. 660. So those who are filled with wisdom, as the ocean with water, do not despise others. This is the noble state for living creatures. 661. Come in time into the power of karmic time, subject to various existences. Men come to grieve. Those young men grieve in this world. 662. Elated by anything having the characteristic of happiness, or cast down by anything having the characteristic of pain. Fools are struck down by both, not seeing things as they really are. 663. But those who, in the midst of pain and happiness, have overcome the seamstress, stand like a threshold stone. They are neither elated nor cast down. 664. Not to profit nor loss, not to fame nor reputation, not to blame nor praise, not to pain nor happiness. 665. To nothing do they cling, as a drop of water does not cling to a lotus leaf. Everywhere wise men are happy, everywhere they are unconquered. 666. There is loss with righteousness and unrighteous profit. Righteous loss is better than unrighteous profit. 667. There is the fame of those of little wisdom, and the lack of fame of the wise. Truly the lack of fame of the wise is better, not the fame of those with little wisdom. Stop here for a moment. People with little wisdom in the world, they like fame, like to be famous, like to be known as so and so. But wise people, they hide their wisdom. 668. There is praise by fools and censure by the wise. Truly, censure by the wise is better than praise by fools. 669. There is happiness arising from sensual pleasures and pain springing from seclusion. The pain springing from seclusion is better than happiness arising from sensual pleasures. Stop here for a moment. Here, basically, also means that the pain, the suffering from walking the spiritual path is better than the pain of enjoying life in the world. When we walk the spiritual path, we renounce. It's a lot is painful, a lot of suffering, physical suffering, but it's worth it because in the end you will get happiness. Whereas the path of worldly sensual pleasures, you enjoy first and pay later, credit card. 670. There is life with unrighteousness and death with righteousness. Death with righteousness is better than life with unrighteousness. So doing the right thing and you die for it is better than doing the wrong thing and have a life. 671. Those who have eliminated sensual pleasures and anger, whose minds are calm in various existences, live unattached to the world. Nothing is pleasant or unpleasant for them. 672. Having developed the constituents of enlightenment, the faculties and the powers, having attained to pious peace, they are quenched without asavas. Shall we stop here? And anything to discuss? This last one by Khuddaka, a lot of good advice.
The spiritual path is a gradual one. Spiritual path is a gradual one. So, Theragatha's advice for those young people who wish to make, who wish to go forth, especially those very young and those who may not be young but very new to the Dhamma. Some they don't know, they are not experienced in the 8%, and even the 5% before they come to the Nikaya, they do not even know that they have practiced consciously. And for these people who have intention to go for what the countries advance.
Actually, all this necessary advice is already in all the suttas of the Buddha. If you have listened to the Nikaya talks which I have given, all the advice is already given there. You just need to. The Buddha says his teachings are complete and perfect. There's nothing more complete and perfect than the Buddha's words. So everything is there. And basically the Buddha says, if you want to walk the spiritual path, that means the Noble Eightfold Path, we have to start with the first factor, right view. And right view, as the Sutta says, comes from listening to the Dhamma and paying proper attention. And then when we understand the Dhamma, we have right view, we have entered the path, otherwise we have not entered the Noble Eightfold Path. A lot of people think they are practicing the Noble Eightfold Path. They have not even entered the Noble Eightfold Path because they have not attained right view. In the suttas, I think Majjhima Nikaya 117, the Buddha says there's only one way to enter the Noble Eightfold Path, and that is by the first factor, right view. That means understanding the Dhamma. Understanding of the Dhamma is so important that the Buddha called his disciples savakas. Savakas means hearers or listeners, those who listen to the Buddha's words and understand. Only those are his real disciples. Because if you understand, then your faith is unshakable. You'll always be the Buddha's disciple. But if you don't understand the Dhamma, then one moment you say you have faith, another moment you have no faith. One moment you want to practice, another moment you are pulled away by worldly attractions. So the Noble Eightfold Path is to be practiced in that way. And the first factor, right view, will bring you to the second factor, right thoughts. And right thoughts will bring you to the third factor, right speech, which will bring you to the fourth factor, right action, which will bring you to the fifth factor, right livelihood. And from there, you go into more serious practice by the cultivation of the mind, that is right effort, and then right mindfulness or right recollection, and then right concentration. So if a person doesn't want to renounce to attain enlightenment, then you practice the first 5 factors. First 5 factors are the most important. But if you want to get out of samsara after the first 5 factors, then you practice the 6th and 7th and the 8th factor. So you must have the wisdom to know how to practice also. So what you can do, you must know your means also. If you have not really become a full-time monk as a novice, no point to practice so hard because you won't be able to sustain it. Just like today I was talking with some lay people and 2 of them are young, one couple. You have this young couple, I think in their 30s, and then another couple in their about 60. And this young couple, they had just come into the Dhamma. They are not sure what to practice. And this old couple is telling them that meditation is the highest merit. Doing dana and keeping sila is not so meritorious, and urging them to meditate because it's the highest merit. But I told them to do dana, sila, and listen to the Dhamma more. And I discouraged them from meditation. Why? Because I know they cannot practice meditation. They are so busy looking, try to make a living, and always worried about the customer not paying them, and whether they have enough orders and all these things. So it's not possible for them to meditate. We can see quite clearly. So no point when you cannot do. Even though we know meditation is the highest merit, for certain people it's not the best alternative because they can't practice it. So in the same way, if you come and live in a monastery, you also have to use your wisdom. If a monastery is young and new like this, there's a lot of work to be done. Everybody has to do at least 2 hours of work, and you want to go and meditate all the time. It's not practical. It's not practical. When you live alone, When you are a full-time monk, you live alone, then you can do that. Because once you start something, you must be able to maintain it. If you can't maintain it, there's no point to start. And then, of course, it's, if you want just to get a taste of it, it's okay. But always remember, whether you can keep it up. Some people, we know, many lay people, sometimes they are too serious about meditation. Many of them get a breakdown. Because why? Because the conditions as a layman is not suitable for a lay person to be too serious about meditation. And then they practice too hard, and then they have too much pressure from their work, too much pressure from their family, and still they want to practice so hard, then they get a breakdown. And we have seen it so often, so many times. It shows you don't know, you don't know yourself, you don't know your situation. So always have to use wisdom. But the best guide is always listen to the Dhamma, the Buddha's words. We notice in the suttas and the Vinaya, the Buddha generally does not encourage lay people to meditate, but he encourages the monks to meditate. Although he sometimes does tell lay people to meditate, but not seriously, because it's not practical. So you have to know. For lay people, maybe you practice 1 or 2 hours when you get up in the morning. That's the best time. But if you are a monk, it's different. But even if you are a young monk, the first 5 years, you have a lot of things to learn, and it's also not possible to want to devote too much time to meditation. There is a time for everything, you must know. So, as I mentioned before, there are certain traditions like the Zen school. When a person becomes a monk, for the first 5 years, he's not even allowed to meditate. He has to chop wood, he has to plant vegetables, got to serve the monks, do all the cooking, everything. And you finish 5 years, and then you don't do all this, and then you just meditate. So there's a time for everything. So you got to know the situation, and you got to know yourself.
So investigate the Dhamma. How do people investigate?
First you have to listen to the Dhamma. This practice of the Bojjhangas, the factors of enlightenment, how to practice it is explained very well, in great detail in the Samyutta Nikaya. So you have to listen to those or read the suttas there on the Bojjhanga. There the Buddha says a lay person or a monk, he comes to the teacher, then he has to be respectful, and then he got to be to pay attention to what the teacher says. So if the teacher finds that he's worthy of teaching, then the teacher teaches him the Dhamma. Then after he hears the Dhamma, he got to reflect on it. This reflection on the Dhamma is the investigation. So after that, if he understands the Dhamma, then he attains faith. When he attains faith, then he wants to put more effort. That time he thinks of meditation.
Because we've seen quite a number of lay devotees who come in with very shallow knowledge of the Dhamma, and some still have much defilement, very selfish, and greedy, and a lot of easily agitated, a lot of anger. So, but they aim for having intention to go far. So I asked Mahathera if they Some people think that just by studying the Dhamma you can actually get rid of the great hatred and confusion, or going forth by going forth and get rid of all these demands very fast.
I think I mentioned before that some people they want to attain this and attain that, but the spiritual path basically is reducing, cutting our defilements and practicing wholesome states, getting rid of unwholesome states and cultivating wholesome states. So we must always look into our defilements, look into our mind, and whenever we react to any words, or whenever our emotions come up, or whenever we think of anything, or we think in a certain way, we must always try to find out now what is the motive. Why do we react like this? Or why do we think in a certain way? So when we start asking, then we know our real intentions, our real motives. And if you do this, you find sometimes you think in a certain way because of the ego. And then also you react in a certain way also because of the ego, or the greed, or the anger, and all these things. So only when we see our shortcomings, then we can change. If we don't look into our own mind and see the faults, we can never change. We read from the suttas, the Buddha, it is stated like in the Dhammapada, not by shaving the head do you become a monk. Not by begging for alms do you become a monk. Not by wearing rag robes do you become a monk. Not by practicing the austerities, the dhutangas do you become a monk. It's by getting rid of the defilements and cultivating wholesome states that you really become a monk. So the practice of the spiritual path is always inside. It's not the outer show. Nowadays we find certain, especially younger monks, they like to show themselves as being very austere, practice certain austerities, dhutangas and all that. That is all for show only. What is important is inside. Getting rid of our defilements, that is the real. That's why we read in some of these verses that the real color of the Arahant, of the holy man, is inside. He doesn't show his color outside. His color is always hidden inside. So it is the inside that is important, not the outside.
In the original sutta, it seems that going forward is quite simple. But right now we have first have to pay homage to the Triple Gem, and then take the 10 precepts. Then I'm wondering, when did this start?
Oh, this started even during the Buddha's time. Initially, the Buddha just gave ordination to monks by just saying, "Ehi bhikkhu, come bhikkhu, or come monk," and there was ordination. Then later, he used that he said that people who want to be ordained have to take the 3 refuges. And then later, when more people wanted to ordain, it was not possible for the Buddha to ordain so many people. Then he allowed the monks to ordain. So when he allowed the monks to ordain, then he made it more complicated. You got to be ordained by a sangha. You got to have at least 10 monks. And then the monk has to request for it. All this is in the Vinaya book. It's very detailed, how it developed stage by stage, slowly by slowly. There's a time when when somebody came to the monastery, and then with the intention to ordain, and then they ordained him, cut off his shave off his head and all that. Then later something happened, and he said, I never asked to ordain, why you all ordained me? So after that the Buddha said he has to request to be ordained before he can be ordained. So these things develop. So later when the Sangha ordained, then that person has to request. Then they got to find out, because sometimes they ordain somebody and then they found, he's in debt. Now they call what? Along chasing him. Want to chop him up because he didn't pay his debt. So you got to ask him during the ordination, are you free of debt? You owe somebody money? And then also, do you have some sickness? Do you have some disease? And there were some who were, hermaphrodite, half man, half woman, came to ordain as a monk. Later they found out. And also have to ask, are you a man? Or are you half man or what? And then also there was a time when the Naga, a snake spirit, he was disgusted with his snake body. He wanted to be reborn as a man, as a higher deva. So he used his psychic power to change into a human form and became a monk. And then later when he fell asleep in the kuti, he changed into a huge python. And his kuti mate shouted in terror. So after that, the Buddha put this condition again. When somebody ordains, I must ask him, are you a human being? Look like a human being only. Look like a human being, sound like a human being, but not a human being.
They just mentioned that with illness, we cannot renounce. What kind of illness are they?
Well, there were certain illness during the Buddha's time. They were stronger. I think like TB, leprosy, skin disease. I have to check the Vinaya book.
Maybe still, the first step is they have to take the Dhammavuddho.
Yes, in the process of higher ordination, they take the Pabbajja first, then but it proceeds in sequence, and then after that they take the higher ordination. That's why you find the suttas when sometimes these external ascetics, they want to go forth, they ask for the going forth and the higher ordination. Sometimes they translate it as the going forth and the admission. So it's actually the Pabbajja and the Upasampada. Yeah, Kawai.
I have another question. It's about verses 584. 584, page 38. Can Bhante elaborate the first two sentences? I don't quite understand.
Is it? He should have appearance well grasped, being skilled in the origin of mind. He should devote himself to calm and insight at the right time. Is it? I'm not so sure about this appearance well grasped. It could mean understand the nature of appearance. Well grasped means understand. Or in the suttas, the Buddha says, when a form comes before your eye, don't pay too much attention to the general features or the minor details. So it may mean that. Skill in the origin of mind is when we go into our mind, then we can understand how the mind works. There's one meditation which has crept into jnana yoga, and that is to find the origin of this I. You look into your mind, suppose now with your eyes closed, you look into your mind, and then you ask yourself, who are you? Like in Zen Buddhism, they have this Kung An, isn't it? Koan, Wo Shi Sei, who am I? So when you look into your mind and you ask yourself, who am I? You cannot be the body, because one day your body will die and disappear entirely. So when you ask yourself, who am I? You're basically this knowing consciousness, this awareness, this knowing mind. In Thailand they call the Pu Ru, the knowing one. Pu Ru, Long Po Man. Yes. So this the I is the knowing. Okay. So when you look into the knowing, you find it is just awareness, consciousness. So if you stay with the knowing mind, then slowly your mind becomes one-pointed. And then we are able to get your mind one-pointed, no stray thoughts. Then you investigate. Where's the origin of this mind? You go to the source of your consciousness. This is knowing the origin of the mind.
Now we may ask, for some people, when they have meditated for some number of years, they still have hot temper. Is it they practice wrongly or not?
If they still have hot temper, it means their mind has not calmed down. If their mind has calmed down and they have attained one-pointedness of mind, then they find it so pleasant. They don't want to get angry. Even they have reason to get angry, also they don't want to get angry. When you get angry, you upset your whole system. Okay, shall we end here?